All right. Man, we're starting a new season off, an episode I never thought was coming. So this is season 3, episode 1. We have a special guest today. I know everyone has social media in 2026 and everyone saw what happened at the Delaware Marathon, but I don't think people realize that the person who thought they won and got beat at the last second is a pit man, a pit graduate, and my roommate for 4 years. So Carson, how are you doing since overall that viral moment happened?
Yeah, dude, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I'm doing pretty well since it's been the first week after it was pretty crazy. Now I'm just kind of chilling, trying to recover from the race still, but doing well overall. Starting to move on from it.
That's good. So, let's start way back in the day. What sports did you play in high school before I guess you became this runner?
Yeah, so growing up, I kind of did everything. I played baseball, football, I did soccer for a little bit, and then I always wrestled. And then once I got into high school, I kind of just focused on wrestling. So I really don't have any background in running, but yeah, I mostly focused on wrestling in high school and then started running a little bit after that.
So when did you know you were interested in running, and did you ever have any thoughts about running a marathon?
So, I mean, we had to run a little bit in wrestling and I really never enjoyed it. But then kind of once wrestling ended, I kind of didn't have an outlet for like that competitiveness and I really missed that. So a big thing for me was running where I could be a little competitive and just compete against myself a little bit. So really during COVID is when I first started running like a good bit and pretty consistently. So that was 2020, right after high school, basically, right when that ended. And then my first marathon, I didn't really think about running a marathon for a while, but then I kinda just kept getting better at running, I guess, and started enjoying it a little bit more, and then that kinda led me to eventually wanting to do a half marathon and a marathon.
So did your high school wrestling, did that, kind of motivate you or kind of prepared you to be this type of runner?
Yeah, I think so. There's a famous saying in wrestling that once you wrestle, everything else in life is easy. Like, I took that I think that's a good quote. Everything else kinda feels easy. Wrestling's such a difficult sport, so anything other than that is not too bad.
That is a pretty good quote. What is your day to day, week to week running like? Like I saw it firsthand. You were always running when you had free time in college. So, what does that day to day, week to week running life look like for you?
Yeah, so, I mean, when I'm not directly preparing for a race, I don't run that crazy, so usually I'll just go for 3 days a week, and then my runs are anywhere from usually a minimum of 5 miles, and then anywhere up to, like, 7 or 8 miles, but it's not crazy, so that adds up to, like, 15 to 20 miles per week, but then, obviously, if I'm getting ready for a race, it'll be higher mileage, and I'll be running more frequently as well.
Yeah, it's like, what, running 5, 6 miles like a walk in the park. Like 1 mile for me would be like splitting the atom or something. That's just like crazy even hearing.
Yeah, I think it's just because 'cause
um,
I've done it for so long now that it's, like, not a big deal. You just get used to it. The more you do it, easier it gets.
yeah, I definitely get that. So yeah, talk about your steps year to year preparing for a marathon. I guess when like you said, like when you actually have to ramp it up.
Yeah, so when I started running in 2020, it was just kinda taking baby steps, so I would do, like, a 5K, I would do 4-mile runs, and then I did that for a while, and then in my sophomore year of college, so that would have been 2022, it was the spring semester, that's when I started getting ready for the Pittsburgh Half Marathon, so you just, like, slowly ramp up the mileage and prepare for that, so I did that, and then I did a full marathon in 2022, I ran 3 hours and 3 minutes, which is like a 7-minute pace about. And then just kinda kept consistent with it, kinda slowly improved over time. I think that's the biggest thing to get better at something is you just wanna be really consistent. And then I've done a couple more half marathons since then and my full marathon, which I did a couple weeks ago.
So let's finally get to that main event, that full marathon that the whole world has seen. Like, when did you sign up for it, and what was your preparation like for the Delaware Marathon?
Yeah, so it's actually a funny story. I wasn't even originally supposed to do this particular marathon. Originally, I was gonna do one in Jersey City. It just worked a little bit better, and it seemed like the course was a little bit faster because it was a little bit flatter there, but that one sold out super quick before I even had a chance to sign
Hmm.
up for it. So that was about February. So I kind of just pivoted and tried to find a different race. Ended up finding this one, and it's pretty funny that that ended up resulting in a crazy moment.
That
In terms of my preparation for it, I actually did a half marathon in December. So I did kind of a 10 to 12 week build up for that. And then I started getting ready for this race in about was like the first week of January, so since the new year. So it was about a 14, 15-week preparation. And then it's just a thing where you have to like slowly build up the mileage, slowly build up your long run. So I probably started my first week, I did maybe 30 miles in a week and I ran 4 days that week. And then by week 12 or week 11, which is kind of the peak week, I did 60 miles and then I did a 20-mile long run. And then just a lot of running. You have to be really consistent with it, but eventually you get to the race and it's not too bad.
So I guess let's talk about that day. Like how long was the ride to the Delaware Marathon? How were you feeling that morning before the big marathon?
Yeah, I actually felt pretty good. So it's not too far from where I live. It was only about a 2.5 hour, 3 hour drive. So I stayed the night before at an Airbnb. And then the day of, I was actually pretty relaxed, which was good. I kind of had a feeling that I was going to have a good run. Sometimes when I was training, I would get a little too nervous before my long runs or some of my workouts, and it kind of messes with you because it can get your heart rate too elevated and just kind of ruin your workout. But I felt really relaxed before the race. So that helped a lot. I felt like it was going to be a good race.
Yeah, that so I'm a competitive golfer by nature, so I kind of understand because you're like all by yourself. It's you versus the course or whatever you call it in running. Like what are some things you do like right before the race to get like prepared and ready to go?
I think one big thing for me is just having the same warm up every single time I run. So when I'm getting ready for the race, it just feels like any other training runs. You're not too nervous. And then I kind of like to just get into my own zone. So I'll listen to music, kind of not really talk to anyone and just kind of get into my own zone, kind of mentally prepare myself for a big effort that I'm about to put out.
So let's start talking about the race itself. How was the start of the race for you? Were you in the lead to start? And how? Yeah, I guess let's just start with like the start of the race. Like, how did it start out for you?
Yeah, so going into the race, I was dealing with a little bit of an injury. So it was about like 3 or 4 weeks before. I was having some issues with like my ankle and my shin. It kind of hurt to run and it would hurt to walk a little bit. So I had to back off from running one week. That was a little bit tough to deal with mentally. So I was just riding the bike, doing the elliptical, things like that. So I was definitely a little worried about that it was going to kind of flare up during the race. So I made it a point to not go out too fast and to not start too fast, kind of to hold back a little bit. And my goal was about 2:45 to 2:50 to run the marathon in. So I started out at probably about like 6:20 pace, I think, which is right on for like 2:45. And I did a pretty good job of pacing myself. And it was actually funny because I didn't expect to win at all or be close to winning because I talked to a kid right before the race and he was like, "What time are you going for?" And I said like 2:45, 2:50, and he said he was going for 2:35. And I was like, "Oh, you might you might win the race." And it's funny because probably the first 6 to 8 miles, that kid was ahead of me. And then I passed him and I was like, "Oh shoot, I'm actually like pretty close to the lead." So I probably passed him in about mile 13. I was running with him for a little bit. And then that after that, I was in second place. And I was the only one I was behind was Josh, and he was ahead of me for quite a while too, probably around mile 16 or 17. I was still feeling pretty good. That's about when I caught up to him, and then we ran together for probably a couple of miles as well. And then I would say around mile 20, so there were 6 miles left is right when I passed him, and that's also the time when you kinda start feeling it. Your legs start going out. I was nauseous for a little bit, but it's kinda you just have to push through it. And then probably about mile 20 is when I passed him, and then I was ahead until that very last stretch.
And I'm not a running guy. I don't know anything. So it's 26 miles,
20
26.2. So you said you guys were kind of tied at the 20-mile mark. Then you passed them. So were you comfortably in the lead from like the mile 20 to basically the end?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I could still see him at all times, but it was a little bit difficult because the way the course was designed is it was an out and back. So you ran out and then you turned around at a loop and ran back. So there were a lot of people running the opposite direction and that were running the marathon just because they were pretty far behind from where I was. So whenever you look behind you, sometimes it was hard to tell if I could see him or if it was people going the opposite direction. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I could still see him for most of the time that I was ahead.
So for that last 6 mile stretch, were you really competing with? Like, did you feel him near you? Because in that video, it looked like you were kind of far ahead of him, and I've heard you in interviews say it as well. I guess in that last stretch, did how what the lead feel like to you? Did you feel him, like, breathing down your neck?
No, there's actually a video that my family took where, like, it's a little bit longer than the original video, so you can see the before I put my arms up for the first time, I actually did look behind me, and so I'm guessing in that moment, I kinda just made the assessment that he was too far behind to catch up to me, and I didn't realize that he had it in him to sprint, so I put my arms up for the first time, and then at that point, I mean, there was only, like, 10, 15 seconds left in the race, and I still had a pretty comfortable lead from what I could tell. And, when you get to the finish line, I was so tired. I had put everything into it and everything was so loud. It was pretty crazy. And like you can't really hear anything. So I didn't hear him at all coming up from behind me. And then right when I was about to finish, next thing I know, he's passes me. It was pretty crazy.
So when the viral moment you put your arms up, like, did you have, like, any, like, "Okay, I won 100%." Like, did you have any thoughts, like, this kid was just about to, like, catch you?
No, I had no idea. I mean, like I said, I wasn't really thinking straight, but I figured I was probably still ahead of him by at least a little bit because I didn't slow down. Like I even looked at my Strava splits. It wasn't that I slowed down. It was that he was just going so fast that it almost looked like I slowed down, but he just passed me.
Credit Jin the preface, Josh was the kid who caught Carson and won the race. I mean, respect to him, you never give up, and he thought I guess I love to ask him, like, man, he must have had some confidence, like, he saw how slow you were going. Well, you weren't going slow, he just thought, "Oh, at the end, I could run fast and maybe catch up and win this thing," so credit to him, just like Jim Valvano said, "You never give up," and gotta respect someone like that and who fought till the end and got the win. So I guess when did you did you have any realization like you felt him just like sprinting at the end? Did you feel anything?
No, I did not feel anything, which was I think because it was just it was just so loud during that moment and everyone's kinda cheering. I've seen some stuff that said people were yelling that he was coming up from behind me, but I did not hear that. I just thought they were all just yelling because it was the finisher coming in, and then really wasn't I didn't realize he was there until I saw him pass me.
Yeah, definitely the heat of the moment. I definitely get that. So like when you realize he beat you, like what were you feeling?
I guess I was kinda surprised, but I really wasn't, like, upset or anything. I was kinda just happy with my performance, and I was also in so much pain that I wasn't really processing anything at that time either. I was kinda just glad to be done with the race at that point.
Yeah, again, I'm a golfer, like, you don't sometimes you're not really looking to win, you're just trying to like, you're a battle against yourself, and once you're satisfied with your individual performance, it really doesn't matter, so I definitely understand that, like, obviously, you would wanna win, but I mean, you ran an under 2:45 marathon, like and we'll get to, like, the prizes, but it's just such an incredible feat by you, for sure. So I did see the picture you sent me, but when the race ended, did you have any interactions with Josh after the race?
Yeah, it was a pretty quick interaction, but so right after the race, we, like, sat down and we talked a little bit, but it was super brief because we were both pretty tired. We drank that water together in that picture that you can see. Yeah, I just shook his hand, and then we had another interaction at the award ceremony when we got our trophies, just kinda saying good race. He's a really good guy, and we got our picture taken together there as well.
That's really cool. So this is my favorite moment of all this is so we're all in a group chat with our Pitt College friend group, and I got a text from Carson that morning. He said, "Dude, I thought I won the race. I didn't even know you were running this marathon. I had no idea." And like I didn't think he said, quote unquote, "Dude, I thought I won the race and was celebrating. Then a kid came out of nowhere right at the end and beat me. It was pretty funny." And, like, I didn't even think anything of it. I was like, "Oh, okay." I think my response was like, "I okay, it says it." I said, "Aw, damn." Like, I didn't even think any of it. Like, when you sent that text message, did you know, like, there's a chance this was just gonna blow up?
I don't think I ever thought it would blow up the way it did. I guess there was a thought in the back of my mind that was pretty crazy and then it could blow up, but you never expect something to blow up like that and blow up so quickly, so it was definitely pretty crazy.
Did you feel like a lot of cameras were there, like, recording this moment?
Not really. I feel like most of the footage was just from, like, cell phone cameras, so, like, not really. You're kinda just zoned in on your own self, so you don't really feel any of that.
I honestly wonder, like, what person, like, leaked the video out that it blew up like that. Like, what was the video? I don't or the person? That's just crazy how that even happened.
I think it was some guy on Instagram named the Suit Guy. He runs marathons in suits apparently, and that was the original video that went crazy, and then all the big platforms, I guess they asked for it and posted it on their own platforms.
Man, shaking my head to Suka, I really had to embarrass my friend, man.
Yeah,
Shaking my head. So
yeah.
what was the initial moment that you said, "Oh my god, it's blowing up"?
Yeah, it's pretty funny because so the race was in Wilmington, which is pretty close to Philadelphia. It's about like half an hour outside of Philly. So I was actually at a Phillies game. I was in the parking lot at a Phillies game walking to their stadium, and I checked the same group chat that you mentioned earlier with all of our Pitt College friends, and someone sent the video that was on Sports Center of the race, and then they realized that it was me, and then I saw it, and it was just pretty crazy, and it was pretty crazy moment.
Yeah, I remember when the videos initially sent, I was investigating and I was like, "Oh my god, like, I know you always wear your backwards hats and you're always shirtless when you're running." It's like, "Oh, that's 100% Carson." I was just like I mean, it was like SportsCenter, Daily Loud, all these accounts. I was like, "What the heck?" It was just and so I guess the funny part of it is like you're a super private person. Like I don't think you like attention really. And it was on these major social media accounts. Like, how do you feel about like blowing up and having your name be out there?
Yeah, it was definitely a little weird because I am pretty private. I'm not really on social media that much. I really don't post anything or stuff like that. It's kind of a cool experience though. Like at first it's a little overwhelming with all the comments basically just trashing me, but eventually I just you can't take it too seriously. Like most of the people are just bots and stuff, and then it's kind of fun. After a while it kind of just gets to be funny. And then you kinda have to just remember who you are. I'm sure you deal with the same thing with a lot of the West Virginia and Penn State people on Twitter, so
Yeah, you just
as you're
you say
long as you're comfortable with yourself and, like, secure, it's not a big deal.
yeah, like I am attention seeking. Like, why did I, pour the milk on my head and all the other stuff I've done? Like, you were definitely not trying to do that. But yeah, you're right. Definitely crazy. And all the people hating on you, like these people, you try running a marathon under 3 hours. Like, get up, like, stop hiding behind your phone. Like, no one's ever doing what you just did. Those people gotta just shut the heck up and go away. They're such losers. Like, you gotta accept, like, you gotta appreciate greatness. And what you put on was absolute greatness. So, I guess, what was the craziest thing you saw on social media?
Yeah, there was some pretty crazy stuff. I think there was one thing on Twitter that basically it either directly called me or alluded to me being a white supremacist. Pretty crazy. Like, I don't think that's true, but, like, I don't know where they got that from, but yeah, pretty crazy stuff.
Any famous people reach out?
No, not really. The only honestly, it wasn't that crazy, like, I didn't get that many people that reached out, like, obviously friends and stuff texted me, but really the only crazy thing that happened was the CBS interview, so that was pretty random. It was this random account on Instagram DM'd me and said basically that they were interested in interviewing me, and they gave me their contact information, and then it was crazy because when I emailed the address that they gave me, it was all these people that had email addresses that were paramount.com and stuff, so it was pretty interesting. But yeah, that's really the only crazy thing that happened throughout this process.
The interview, I'm happy you're giving me longer answers than what you did there. You were probably pretty nervous.
Yeah, I was pretty nervous for that. It was also live too, which is tougher.
Right, right. So was that like a regional CBS or was that like a national CBS? Like I watched it, but
Yeah, at first, because when I looked up the lady that messaged me, it said she was based in California. So I thought it was some sort of local CBS network from California or like San Francisco, something like that. But it's not the actual like TV CBS, but it was they have this 24/7 streaming news service, and that's what it was on. So it's on like their streaming service, YouTube, things like that. So that's what it was.
yep, I have Paramount Plus, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like a CBS news channel, and CBS is in California, so that definitely all checks out.
Okay.
So this is, I guess, my funny question of the. I guess you already answered it, but man, how the heck do you run 2 to 3 hours straight like you did? Like I could barely run for 2 to 6 minutes straight. Like how do you even do that?
Yeah, I feel like you just gotta be consistent with it. Like, the more you do something, you'll get better at it. A lot of people will tell you the best way to get better at running specifically is just to run more. So you get more comfortable, feels a lot easier the more that you do it. Just that.
Yeah, it's pretty easy how you talk about it.
Yeah, I guess so.
So I guess like people, a lot of people are trashing you for, letting that lead up. Was there a cash prize for this Delaware Marathon? Like, were you like, oh man, I just missed out on thousands of dollars?
Yeah, that's the thing that's kinda funny is I actually wasn't sure if there was a cash prize going into the race or not. It just said in the race information that there was trophies for 1st through 3rd place, and there actually ended up not being a cash prize at all. So, the only thing that we got was a trophy, which is like, "Okay, that's fine." It's kinda funny because people were acting like I lost the Olympic gold medal or something, and there wasn't even a cash prize. It would've been cool to say I won a marathon, but it didn't actually matter.
Yeah, people gotta just chill out. Like, it didn't seem like there was much of an incentive, like finishing first and second. So I guess you'll tell us when I ask you this final question what the true prize you got out of this is. So, what is the future for you in marathons and running, Carson?
Yeah, so as of that race, I did qualify for the Boston Marathon in 2027, so in a year. So definitely planning to do that. I gotta get healthy first, get back into a good routine, but planning to do that in 2027. So about a year from now, and it's pretty preliminary. I know it's a tough course and it's pretty hilly, but right now I would say that my goal is to run sub 240 at Boston Marathon.
That's just absolutely legendary. That's why I need to have you on. People got to realize you are a proud pit man who just qualified for the Boston Marathon. And if you win the Boston Marathon, I will get as much. I'll buy all the milk in Boston and I'll pour it all over me. And West Virginia fans could suck it.
I don't think I'm gonna win the Boston Marathon. We might have to temper that down a little bit. They got professional.
Hey, you know what? Doesn't matter, man. Against all odds, you can pull it off.
Never say never.
Never say never. Well, this was a super fun interview. Thanks for coming on, Carson. It was really awesome hearing like all the insides of the whole story of the viral moment. Thank you so much for coming on. This was a blast.
Yeah, man, thanks, dude, I appreciate it.
And as always, hail to Pitt.
Hail to Pitt.